Hey friends, how are you? So today is the sixth episode of Walking with the Himalayan Master, and now I'll be reading the chapter 2, which is What's a Mantra. I rode in an old car from the 1950s with Swamiji at my side. How are you? I asked him. I really missed you. He replied that he really missed me too. But now that he was here, we would better get going. There was much traveling to do. On Monday, September 12th, I woke up with the delightful image of a car drive with Swami Rama fresh in my mind. It was the day of my next appointment with him, so I wasted no time in getting there. As I drove to Swamiji's residence near West Chicago, I reminisced about the past 2 years overseas, tracking the episodes that led up to this day. Conversation with the Reverend John Pierre Higgins, the famous charming Anglican cannot who de-haunted houses in the United Kingdom, broke into my memory. We had shared ideas about mysticism, the nature of God, and the best methods of dealing with poltergeists, and explored unique ideas from Eastern philosophy about psychic phenomena. We had laughed together over stories of my psychic grandmother who took me to seances on Sunday afternoons where I watched channelings and healings and listened to discussions among the room full of spirit guides. Grandma definitely had a gift for healing and foretelling the future. John was impressed that she had predicted my college professorship when I was a 9 year old failing in school. When she told me, "Someday you will travel far and wide, speaking before rooms full of people." One evening after dinner, John and I walked in his garden in London, knowing I would soon leave for home. "Justin," he insisted, "because of your interest in consciousness, I insist that you read Autobiography of a Yogi." I was surprised. "You mean the story of the Indian monk Yogananda who came to the West in 1920s? Yes, read it. You will find many connections to your Christian background that may surprise and delight you. Like you, I have the unquenchable thirst for exploring realms of mystic consciousness and experimenting with Eastern ideas. We Gallics, he chuckled, all have that restlessness. I remember buying the book in an old shop in central London on a rainy day in spring. I had begun reading it in the back of the dusty shop and had to be asked to leave at closing time. I had read it on the underground on my way home. I had devoured it in the next few days before catching the plane to Chicago. In the early edition of the autobiography, Yogananda had prophesied prophesied that a great yogi would come to the West and share the science of yoga with researchers and scientists. I had no idea that I was on my way to meet that yogi. My borrowed car pulled into the driveway of a large two-story farmhouse in need of paint in the midst of abandoned fields. A polite American woman wearing a yellow sari opened the door and greeted me. I removed my shoes as requested and waited in the hallway. When she returned, she pointed me upstairs to Swami Rama's room. I knocked on the slightly open door and entered. The room smelled heavily of incense. "Oh, that's to purify the air," Swami Rama said, noting my curiosity at the strange aroma. "It's my favorite incense." I sat down on a chair and watched him watch me. After a few moments, he spoke. "Psychic phenomena won't satisfy you." I was staggered. The subject had been a real interest to me in recent years, both in Holland and England, but I had not mentioned it to anyone but Canon Pierre Higgins. The psychic search had been my attempt to satisfy my restless yearning for I knew not what. "You don't have a center," the Swami said. "I will give you one. It's meditation." He certainly doesn't believe in beating around the bush, I thought, pleased at his concern for me. "Come back again and next time I will personally teach you the art of meditation." The Swami ended the appointment. Then my mind rebelled. All the way out here just to be told to return? Why couldn't he give it to me now? Make an appointment downstairs, the Swami continued. But first, you need a mantra. I frowned. What's a mantra? Without answering, Swami Rama walked over to me, cupped his hand around my right ear, and chanted a few Sanskrit syllables. I listened intently. He then asked me to join him in repeating the mantra sounds so that he could check my pronunciation. What's this all about? I thought it made a little sense to me, but I began repeating the sounds. Oh, you have got the rhythm well, he said, pleased. Then he quietly wrote out on a pad of paper the personal qualities characterized by the mantra that would develop in me over time. As I read the paper, I was overwhelmed by the possibilities. The mantra's vibration will bring forth these qualities in you. It's time now for you to move ahead, the Swami insisted. He seemed genuinely enthusiastic in putting all this together for me since I hardly knew him. I was surprised at his urgency, his care, his solicitousness for my future. I was pleased but dumbfounded to know how to respond. He looked directly at me as his eye grew large, making me feel that this moment was the most important in my life, and yet he gave me the feeling that I already had all this knowledge, and so I said nothing. Our second encounter was over. I was to make another appointment and return with a tape recorder next time. Apparently, I was on the fast track, but I appreciated his style, serious without being solemn and spontaneous without being giddy, with just enough surprises to keep me interested. In addition to dreaming my future about the impact of his seminar, I now had a mantra to puzzle out. Downstairs, I asked the woman what to do with the mantra. She smiled and replied matter of factly, oh, you'll learn, and I was ushered out the door. My return visit a few days later was my introduction into the meditative tradition of the sages. The Swami's room was filled with the usual order of incense. I liked it. So I peeked over at the incense box and noted the word Padmini Dhoop inscribed in red letters. Next to it, I saw a packet of cigarettes. Do you smoke, sir? I asked. Yes, all the mountain people smoke. Smoking serves many functions for me, one of which is to remind me of the Himalayas. Do you mind? I could think of no reason to mind his smoking, so I merely asked if it hurt his health. I am a yogi, he replied. I do cleansing practices to keep my body pure. That seemed to settle it for me, so he asked me to sit down with him. Patting the cushion on the floor near him, my mind immediately jumped to embarrassment. I can't sit on the floor, I thought. My legs were inflexible, too many years of stiffness since my childhood knee ailment. But the Swami read my thoughts, pointed to a straight back chair, and explained that folding one's legs is not essential to meditation, nor is a lotus posture that characterizes the statuses of the Buddha. In fact, he told me the lotus posture is not meant for meditation but is a symbol thereof. The key to meditative posture is a spinal column. Keep it erect, he instructed. In this way, the lungs are free to breathe and the energy of the body can travel uninterruptedly. Thank you so much, friends, for today's session. I'll read tomorrow's session again. So take care. Bye bye.